Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Sky News has learned that a UK police database contains more than 20 million facial recognition images, which could mean nearly a third of the population is stored. Well, that technology will be trialled as a security measure at the Notting Hill Carnival this weekend. That's despite concerns about the threat to privacy. Tom Cheshire reports.
If you joined the crowd at Notting Hill Carnival this bank holiday weekend, you could be scanned, identified and tracked in real time, thanks to facial recognition. Sky News has learned that more than 20 million facial images are now held by the police, which could correspond to nearly a third of the UK population. It's the second year police have trialled the technology at Carnival, and it's being deployed more and more. Leicestershire Police have previously used it at a festival, and football fans attending the Champions League final here in Cardiff in June were also scanned. But in his first ever interview, the Independent Biometrics Commissioner has told Sky News that pressing ahead with the technology poses risks.
If the police start deploying a technology without us understanding what it will do and without any government framework, legislative framework or independent oversight, then I think that will undermine trust in the police. Then you're perfectly right, there is this question about invasion of individual privacy. And there needs to be a proper balance between whatever the public interest is claimed and the interference in that individual privacy.
Surveillance is obviously crucial to the police and intelligence agencies, and counter-terrorism makes it even more vital. What facial recognition allows, though, is the computer to pick your face out of a crowd. Rather than just being kept tabs on, you're tracked in real time. It's mass surveillance for the physical world.
Facial recognition has advanced dramatically over the last 5 years, thanks to machine learning and artificial intelligence. This British company says its recognition systems get 10 times more accurate every 3 to 6 months, and that they're being used by counter-terrorism agencies around the world every day. What you're seeing now is a real-life demo.
The state of the art is changing, and what we have now is the ability to do much more in the real world in real time. So what we're showing today is a capability that can be much more in the Jason Bourne style, i.e. we're looking for people in the real world as they go about their everyday lives.
The Met told us the deployment of the cameras is to test the technology and was implemented following close liaison with the Information Commissioner and Big Brother Watch. Once the trial is complete, we will be analysing the results and holding a public consultation. It's not just police and intelligence agencies who use facial recognition. Businesses are getting into it too. Adverts can be targeted at you in real time by detecting your gender, your age, and even your emotions. This is an unsettling future, one that so far the public has had little say over. Tom Cheshire, Sky News.
All right, well, let's talk to the former senior investigating officer at the Met Police now, Peter Kirkham. Peter, thanks a lot for coming in.
Good afternoon.
How does it work?
First thing we need to say is that quite a lot of the things that have been implied in your various contributions during the day today are basically wrong.
OK, well, let's go through those first. OK.
The database of 20 million images, it's implied that random people could be on that database without knowing. Well, there's only two ways you're going to be on that day. It's not one database anyway, it's multiple databases in multiple forces. Either you've been arrested and your photograph's been taken as a result of that process, in which case you'd know about it, or you're being worked on as an intelligence suspect and there's live intelligence.
And there are 20 million people who have either been arrested or are being worked on as...
I suspect a lot of them are multiples. But you add the number of people arrested over the years up, and you get a large database. You get lots of photographs.
So there are no innocent civilians on those databases?
There'll be some people that weren't charged, and there'll be some people that haven't been prosecuted and haven't been convicted. That is an issue, but it's not an issue for the police. The issue has been put to the courts, and the courts have said, yes, that's what Parliament has empowered you to do. So, yes, there's a debate to be had, but don't say the police are just randomly collecting data on people. They're not. The bit about there's no legal basis for it. Well, with all due respect to Professor Wiles and to Martha Spurrier from Liberty I heard earlier, they should know better. There's the Data Protection Act and various other legislation that governs what data can be kept, including facial images, on people and for what reasons. And the police are bound by that, and they abide by it. In terms of this hint that we're going to Minority Report, Jason Bourne, person of interest type world, that's just ridiculous. The police haven't got enough officers to attend your burglary if you report it, let alone sit there scanning images and go, oh, that's Mrs Miggins from number 27 Acacia Avenue, wonder what she's up to. The only faces that are going to be recognised at Notting Hill are the ones that are put on the database as having been either someone that's wanted, or somebody that is on bail conditions or other conditions not to be there, or someone on whom there is reasonably sound intelligence that they may be causing trouble. Now, what happens when they're spotted is just the same as a camera operator or an officer on the street spotting them. They'll look at what's going on and they'll deal with that situation accordingly. Nobody's going to be added to the database by these scans that are taking place. There's a lot of scaremongering going on. It troubles me that when someone like Professor Miles is setting hairs running and scaremongering, he said that this undermines trust and confidence in the police. What undermines trust and confidence in the police is official people like Professor Miles basically making things up as they go along. Let's
go back to this database, this information being stored. You said it's not a single database, it's a number of databases. In the case of DNA and fingerprints, if someone is arrested and they're not charged, how long can that kind of information be kept?
That varies. If they're charged and convicted, they're kept pretty much forever. If they're charged and not convicted, or they're not charged, there's what I actually agree is a bit of a daft situation where how long they're kept depends on what you were arrested for. If you arrest somebody and they weren't involved in that incident, as opposed to they were involved in it but we haven't got enough to charge or convict, if they weren't involved in it, it doesn't matter what they weren't involved in. And so I have got some serious doubts about that system. But that's the government that have put that in place. It's not the police making up as they go along. The police are under attack from all angles, to the point where I've just started something called True Blue Line UK, trying to tell the truth about what is happening with policing. There's a crisis, it's collapsing, and we need to get away from things being made up about what the police are doing and starting all this scaremongering going.
This is new technology.
It is.
If we are using this new technology, don't you think there needs to be a legislative framework around it to govern how that information is being appropriated and then used, stored?
Yes and no. If it was being used in a new way to just monitor people, to gather images and to recognise people from other databases, then yes, that would be a new way of using CCTV. All that's happening at the moment is it's being used in the same way as an operator that knows who to look for, or even an officer on street patrol with a list of photographs knowing who to look for, that's just technically picking those people out. All that's being recorded is standard CCTV. All that's being kept is standard CCTV. There is clear, long-standing framework for that, and it is simply wrong for people like Professor Miles, who should know better, to go scaremongering and upsetting the public and raising concerns with the public. They're valid concerns, but they're based on false information, and that's wrong.
OK, Peter Kirkham, thank you so much. Peter Kirkham is a former senior investigating officer at the Met Police.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.